Yes, hello, and welcome to Secrets to Winning Government Contracts. I am your author and instructor, Martin Sines, and I want to first thank you for taking the time to come and understand how to do business as a prime federal contractor. And the mantra for Secrets to Winning Government Contracts is that any small business can become profitable with prime federal contracts within 12 months if if you take the required steps that will fast track you there. I am someone that has built a small business around prime federal contracts from the basement of my home, and so I have picked up tricks of the trade, if you will, have gone through steep learning curves and just pretty much about every painful experience you can go through as a small business owner. I've gone through to get to the point where I hold long-term federal contracts throughout the country. And what I like to first start out by just putting out a few fun facts. Um, Less than 5% of the businesses in the U.S. do business with the U.S. government. And so, whereas you may be a small business owner, you may have thought about what it would be like to do business with the federal government. Well, most small business owners don't do business with the federal government because they don't understand how to do business with the federal government, or it just seems like too much of a burden on your current business. You may be too much in the grind, in the mix with everything you have going on in the chaotic world of a small business owner. So you may feel like you're already stretched. So you don't know how to do business with the federal government, and you feel too stretched. With what it would take to do business with the federal government. I definitely understand that, and I'll give you a little bit about my background in just a moment here. The U.S. government is the largest buyer in the world, so as you could see, it would be, and they buy pretty much any types of products or service, training, IT, toilet paper, telephones, painting, any kind of renovation, construction work, you name it, they buy it. For my business, my wife and I started in 2006. It is a museum exhibit company, and we also do a lot of signage and other types of environment creation work. And I'll get to that in just a moment. The federal government signs over 11 million contracts per year, so you can understand how massive that would be. 95% of those contracts are awarded to small and mid-sized businesses. Only 5% of the businesses in the U.S. getting government contracts, and 95% going to small and mid-sized companies. About myself, I hold an MBA from Drexel and a master's of science in project management from George Washington University. I was fortunate enough to get fired from my corporate job in 2004. So up to that point, it was get the safe, secure job. You can live that American dream, if you will, get a house, with a mortgage and a few cars and a few babies, et cetera, et cetera. So what I found is that corporate America wasn't what it was cracked up to be. and I had trouble playing the game. So after getting fired, my wife and I really did some brainstorming, and we figured, based on her creativity, based on my business acumen, my I love the idea of physical, tangible products. We put that together and figured on doing a signage, graphics, museum exhibit type company. And we put that together out of the basement of our home. And the sole focus of our company was to sell to the federal government on the prime contract level. Up to that point, you hear a lot of horror stories from other business owners that we know, and you may know, that have told you that if you work as a sub to a prime federal contractor, then you're essentially getting crumbs that the prime is leaving for you. You're getting paid late. You're not getting treated well in a lot of cases. So we wanted to bypass that large prime player or that prime player, and we wanted to have the contracts from federal agencies with our name on it. So based on our desire for that, we had a long road of 2 years learning curve on how to sell to the federal government, and about $200,000, actually over $200,000 of debt accumulated in just getting the business up and running, getting in front of the federal client, learning the whole process, by which, looking the part, winning the business, serving the federal client. There's whole tricks to the trade, and it's extremely different than doing work in the commercial space. So that whole learning curve is, what my wife and I, underwent, and really just figured out. In 2009, we finally broke in, obtaining a lot of federal contracts across the country. We've done work at the Pentagon, USDA, DOJ, DOS, Department of State, Department of Justice. I mean, you name it, military installations across the country. We've done it all. While we've had success in the federal space. My wife and I have accumulated real estate, got into the mortgage note investing industry. So we were able to really profit and do well. And I say that with humility, but I also say that because in May of 2017, I wrote a book on investing called Note Investing Made Easier. It is an Amazon bestseller. And so, based on after I wrote this book, I've had a number of people reach out to me and ask me for help, ask me how they can become an expert investor, and really just based on all the wonderful feedback I've had from people. It really just made me think. I'm like, well, really my bread and butter has been with understanding the process to sell to the federal government, becoming a master in it, a student and a master, I should say. Which leads me to, which has led me to write a second book called Secrets to Winning Federal Contracts, and I'm sorry, Secrets to Winning Government Contracts. So it was federal, now it's government, and so whereas I lay out step by step in a methodical way, everything you need to do, the whole recipe, if you are a small business, how to obtain federal contracts within a 12-month time period. So I took all my learning curve, insight, all experience, and I said, well, how can everything be, refined for a new person in the, who wants to do work with the federal government, so they can get, up and running in a much quicker time period at a much lower, dollar point. So I just want to also cover, and one of the things that has led to my success is having a massive action plan. So, it's a map. If you take MAP, and when I came up with massive action plan, my wife looked at it and she said, "Oh, you mean a map?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." She's definitely the smarter one in the relationship. So what a map entails is, it starts with having a marketing plan with actionable items. So, having all your goals and objectives, that you are committing either your entire focus of your company, or you're committing, you know, half your focus, you're committing half your resources to start to develop, business with the federal government. So all that kind of needs to be laid out. My marketing plan's typically one page. So, and I look at it, it's reviewed weekly. So it's an ongoing living document that changes. So it shouldn't be something that, is too robust, and you do it once and it just kind of sits on a shelf. The next thing the marketing plan always leads to is how I'm building my profile and reputation. So everything I'm doing, from, how your website looks, how your business cards look, how your capability statement looks, everything that will be visible to the federal client needs to all be uniform and needs to all have the same look and feel, but also it needs to have the same government verbiage. Government categorizes products and services by NAICS codes. So they assign different codes to different products and services. You have they assign you a cage code, so that, which is their internal code for recognizing your company and who you are. Um, there are, Dun and Bradstreet is another significant number that's used. What kind of designations you have. Do you have a GSA schedule? Are you buying through a GSA schedule? Designations are like 8A, Hub Zone, veteran-owned small business, woman-owned small business, and there's just several types of designations that are channels that allow for procurement dollars to flow through to you. Also there's set-aside work. So all this kind of information, understanding the vocabulary, starting to strive to obtain formally those designations, obtain formally your GSA schedule, all that, just further enhances your reputation, and it makes you less risky to the federal client. So the federal client is, it's very different than in commercial business. So if you're a painter that works out of your van, and you go see a small business and they're like, well, I need a few offices painted. Well, you can pretty much just write up an estimate, and if they think you look clean cut, if they've seen some pictures of your past work, then they'll go ahead and just sign your estimate, maybe give you a deposit, and you're on your way. Well, in the federal space, everything's based on past performance. So whatever you lack with past performance needs to be made up with how your profile looks, and also how your reputation is being established. And I kind of go over this because, with the writing of the book, Secrets to Winning Government Contracts, I've also put together a training program to help small businesses avoid a costly learning curve that is just, this just a roadway that's just littered with obstacles, and I help just kind of clear all the obstacles away, and just make a clear path for a small business owner to just get to the end point, and that is doing prime federal contracts. So once you build your profile, it leads to your interaction on social media, joining associations. It used to be back, 20 years ago, the thing to do was join a government contracting association, attend a attend a once a month networking event in the evening, at some restaurant bar, and just mix it up with other government contractors. Well, now in the new era that we're in, everyone's connected on social media. So there's Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn groups, and there's also other associations with private groups that just meet and interact on a daily basis. So, I will and have spent time on social media developing relationships, and it's led to teaming partners. It's led to, actual federal contracts from just networking with people that have similar program managers that they reach out to on the federal space. So another thing, that I've done in my massive action plan is to attend industry day events. These are small business events that agencies hold so they can understand which vendors can provide services for products and services that they're forecasting a need for. So in other words, every year the agencies come out with a procurement forecast, and within that it gives an itemized list of all the needs and services that they foresee that they will need. And it's just a budgeting tool for themselves. And then they host small industry days to understand what contractors are out there that can provide and fulfill their needs in terms of goods and services. So attending these events is critical. And one of the tricks that I used to do is contact the contracting officer or the point of contact that's hosting the small business event, and I would find out if they were going to cover what I offer in terms of goods and services at that industry day event. So if they weren't, then I probably wouldn't go to that event. So again, museum exhibit work, if the focus of the industry day event is going to be on airplane parts, then I'm not gonna attend, with what I offer. But if it's something in the facilities management area space, then I might attend, because we do a lot of work that touches on facilities um, repair, etc. So again, the profile, all your marketing and branding, your reputation built through associations and social media, attending the small business events so you get in front of the federal client. And also there's some other areas where you can purchase essentially a yellow book of federal government employees. So there's resources out there where you can buy a list of federal employees, and then you can also call on these folks. So having a call action plan, if you will, every day, making a certain amount of calls to new federal clients. So doing all this in conjunction with FedBizOps and other websites where the government announces that they post solicitations and pre-solicitations and RFPs, etc. This all will build your pipeline. So as you build your pipeline, you will, like anything else, it's a numbers game. You will get better at writing proposals. You will get better over time at managing your pipeline, which will lead to sales. And when it leads to sales, then it's the reason this is cyclical is it further enhances your reputation because you're less risky to the federal client the more you're obtaining federal work. So this is something that I've used. It's a proposal generating system. Um, it's how I've structured. It's like an assembly line structure for how I get proposals out the door. So, first I have an organizational structure within, with my sales team, which used to just be me. I was everything. I was business development slash sales. I was the proposal writer. I was oftentimes, almost every time, I was the installer. So I've done every part of my business other than the design portion, which my wife handled, as she's the creative type. So anyway, you'll need an organizational structure within your team, and again, it just might be you at first, but if you have other resources where you can outsource labor, you can hire someone part time, you can dedicate someone who's full time into certain roles, but you're going to need a business development person, proposal writer, estimator, and sales manager on the organizational structure. Then you're going to need a bid no bid matrix, which it's essentially going to help you, look at proposals. I'm sorry, look at solicitations and understand quickly whether you want to bid on those or not, because bidding on proposals takes time and money. So you don't want to waste time and money. So you want to be efficient with everything you do. And then I always have a proposal library with a list of documents, introduction letter, capability statement, company overview, pictures of past performance work, tables where I have past performance point of contacts and itemized estimate templates and so forth, and just a whole host. That way, I can just kind of plug and play whenever I get a solicitation I'm replying to, versus reinventing the wheel every time you get a solicitation in. So again, responding to solicitations, RFPs, requests for proposals, cost time and money. In conclusion, I hope that you enjoyed this quick presentation. Secrets to winning government contracts. This is something that I know a lot about. There's a lot of programs out there whereas it's contractors that have not sold to the federal government, or they've worked for large organizations and they go out and they write books or tell you how to obtain federal contracts. Well, this book is very different. It's very boutique. It is for the small business owner. I'm talking the painter out of their van, the IT worker that works in his home office, or you're like my wife and I, who had printing equipment and production tables and everything in the basement of our home. It's for that very extremely small person that has big dreams and doesn't want to take crumbs that they're taking, doesn't want to just serve other small businesses, and they want to grow and they want to sell to the largest buyer in the world, which is the federal government. So that's who I wrote this book for. And if you have interest in selling to the federal government and want to learn everything that I have done and do, and use that for yourself, then please visit us at govcon.win. That's GOVCON.WIN. And I offer various training, products and options, if you will. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of you at some point. And thank you for joining me here. And God bless.